Hey, this is Jason with Denwerks, and my daughter, pretty excited about this. She's 16 and has already caught the bug and bought herself a little 1999 528i. Cool car, so we're going to be doing a little fix-up and stuff, especially on a budget and stuff, so she's going to be kind of working on it. And the first thing we noticed here, it's got some scuffs. You can see on the bumper there. We'll try to take care of that, but first thing you'll notice is the headlights. You can see here, really foggy looking, and I know they make kits and stuff for it, but we've got a little tricks up our sleeve, and so we'll show you the process of doing this. Right here I already started sanding it a little bit, and I thought, hey, you know what, I think we're going to take a little video on a how-to. So the first thing we're going to do is lift open the hood here. And one reason is, let's get the hood out of the way. She's gonna pop it open here. That way we don't have to tape this off and create any damage to the hood itself, when you're sanding on the headlights. So go ahead and tape this off, Morgan. Just go ahead and tape off around the headlight, which is a good idea. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that, but we'll tape that off. So that way when we're sanding with sandpaper, it almost seems not right to sand something like this with sandpaper. It's plastic, but we're probably start off with maybe 1,000 grit, then 15, then maybe 2,000. Hey, and there's our friendly little guy, Stanley. He's actually gonna help us a little bit here. Hey, Stanley. So she's going to go around the headlight, and she's going to go ahead and go up here too. So we'll skip this process, we'll get it all taped and move to the next thing. She did a good job taping that all off. I'll just show you, you can really see, even where I sanded it still, all that yellow. It's just kind of weird looking, and really for safety, for me, I want her to be able to see when she's out at night, and it looks ugly. What I'm going to do here with the sandpaper, so here's 2,000 grit, you can see there. This is actually 1,500, and there's 1,000. I said maybe we'd start with the 1,000, and I think I will. And what that means is, 1,000 means there's the roughness of the paper, and that's per square inch. There's 1,000 little sanding particles there. There's sand on the paper. There's 1,500. There's 1,500 and 2,000. So that means they're a lot smaller, a lot closer together. So we'll finish off with that, and then we'll get a buffing compound out. So go ahead and hold that. I'll just show you how to kind of start here. We're using warm water, and that's only because we don't want to have our hands cold. And you can use a little block if you want to, wrap it around there. I usually start off actually, just by hand. I'll kind of fold it up a couple times, get it wet. And I'm using 1,000 because it's, this light's pretty bad, and we won't do it for a long time. You can see that, it's kind of yellowish looking. And we'll wipe this off over and over a couple times. But when you start noticing it just being straight white, then we'll kind of stop. And because a lot of the yellow will be off, and then we'll switch to another grit. But we'll just work on this half myself, and I'm going to show her how to do it. But you want to keep it moving around. See how I'm moving around in different places and going in different directions. You don't ever want to just sit in one spot forever, and sometimes you can go in a circle. And this light here, we'll probably maybe not use those flat things. We'll just keep it moving. You can see here it's kind of turning white, and let's wash that off a little bit. You can still see here it's got some issues, but I think that's pretty good on that side, so I'll let her start sanding on this side. You can kind of want to, where I already did it, just kind of feather over into where I already did it. You can see that yellow is kind of coming off there. You'll be amazed when this light is done. It'll look really nice. Okay, so here we are. We use that 1000 grit, like I said. You can see the all the residue on there. So we'll just go ahead and take a little glass cleaner and clean that off real fast, and just dry it all off there. You know, the one reason we have that tape on there, a lot of people get in a hurry and they get kind of sloppy, and but when you take that sandpaper, especially when you're down here in the edges, you know, it's easy to get into that paint, and you don't want to be taking a little simple process here and messing up your paint. You know, again, this is just a good way budget-wise. You know, I know they make some kits and stuff like that, and it costs a lot of money. I think like something like 70 or 80 bucks. And honestly, it's kind of the same thing. And as long as you got a buffer and stuff here in the end, I'll show you how to do it. So the reason we clean that off, we're going to go to 1500 grit here, is I just want to look and see. You can see here she's getting the 15, and she'll just tear half of it off. But the reason I cleaned it off, I just wanted to see if there was any more areas where we need to sand it a little more heavier. Like right here, we can see. Go on the other side here. Yeah, you can just see some of that stuff still on it. We'll probably spend a little more time in this area. There's a little cloudiness behind the lens. We won't be able to get out there because that's on the back side. But you know, we'll make it look nice here, and we'll use 1500. You know, again, we'll just sand it the same way, nice even strokes. So here we are. We got done with the 1500 grit. And one thing I was going to mention too, you see I have a ring on my finger. But sometimes when you're sanding, you don't want to be sanding with a ring on your finger like that, because what it can do is put too much pressure right here on the sandpaper, and it can actually start making little grooves because you're putting more pressure because you got something hard behind it. And so we'll go to 2000 grit. Now you can actually see it getting a little clearer now from the 1000 to the 1500, and so you'll notice it even different when we do the 2000. Okay, now we're going to go to the 2000 grit. You can see here the 2000 again on the back, and Stanley's helping still down there, so she'll start cleaning that and sanding it and making it a little bit more smoother. Okay, here we are. We're going to polish these lights. I've got some 3M product in here, but this is a cutter, and then this actually one's a polish. But here's the buffer I was talking about. You don't have to use an air buffer. You can use an electric buffer if you want. Just something that turns. I've learned this from experience. We're going to cover the motor up so we don't spray you know, compound all over the place, and then you end up spending 2 weeks trying to clean the engine. Same thing I've seen people do, you know, when they're doing you know, a car, they got the windows down, they're spraying all over the interior. You know, when you're using a buffer too, you know, just put it around there a little bit. I took the lid off because it's faster. But you don't want to just put it on there and then pull the trigger. Get it smoothed on there a little bit. One thing you want to be careful with is when you're buffing here across the headlight, you don't want to be hitting this over and over and over, because actually you can rub through the paint. You can see a major difference between where we were sanding and the way that light looked originally. You know, that looks really nice, and it's going to look even better because we're going to get a different pad out, and we're going to put you know, just the polish on it. So we'll go ahead and finish the rest of the light. The reason I'm going to put another pad on with the polish is what good does it do to use the cutter compound that's on your pad and then put polish on it, because you're still using the cutter compound. So we'll go ahead and put the polish on here. So we'll go ahead and finish this to completion here. So we'll go ahead and let that dry out for a minute, take all the tape off, and show you the final product. Okay, here we are finishing it up. I think it's going to look pretty good. She's just taking a little glass cleaner, cleaning all the edges. And I think that looks excellent. Morgan, I think next time she'll be able to do this all herself. Might even hire her. Go ahead and pull your hand back. We'll take a look. Very good job. Actually looks better than that other side. If you look down here, this will be our next project. Hopefully we can get all that paint off. So anyways, thanks for looking at our little high school project.